Hello traders, this is Alex with the COTlive.com website. I'd like to review these select kind of ag stocks. I've been doing it now for a while. We're coming into the next solar eclipse, which is my thing. I like to gauge everything in the moon periods. Kind of breaks it down beyond the weekly. A lot shorter term than a monthly, but again, it's mathematical. I can tell you out in the future where the days are. So this is kind of the spreadsheet of everything that's going on. You can pause that, review it, print it. Again, I kind of highlighted these this time, which are opposite of the longer term trend. Again, the trends are based on the solar to solar eclipse, solar eclipse to solar eclipse. If it's higher currently, again, this is as of this morning at about 10 o'clock, these quotes, 10:30. So today is September 15th on a Friday. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video today, we had a moon period come in at 1 o'clock this morning, 1:41, and I took yesterday's close since the stock markets weren't open yet. So this is current. Now I know some of the stuff was trading, so I didn't add that. You can kind of review it, but this gives you an idea. Now, again, we're coming into the next solar eclipse. So this is the new moon prior to the next new moon, which is the solar eclipse. So October 14th will be a big event. I'm not a magician. I'm not I can't call the future, but I can tell you that volatility will pick up as we come into the thing. All right, let's review it. This is Apple. Again, had a historic rally this year. 21 quarter moon periods up. Now, again, these are the planets, heliocentric and geocentric in blue. These are the alignments of the planets. If you believe in gravity, affects things, then, again, or a void, right, where there is no planetary alignments. These are the angles, how many are in there. Just for a quick update here. All right, Apple. You can see the market had a pretty good jag. Now the trend turned down, again, 21 quarter moon periods up. If you call this a system, which I don't think it is, but you could trade it as such. Most systems are a zero-sum game. It's just how it is. I don't care if you trade moving average, RSIs. You have a stretch of a good periods and you get chopped to death for a while and you lose it all back. Now, I like to use these as a gauge. And again, I went back on these charts that you'll see back to the January 21st. Now, this was, again, a new moon period too. Again, halfway between the two solar eclipses. Just as this one is halfway between the two solar eclipses, right? The new moon. So, again, as you can see, we were at a low, or some type of a low as we started to rally. The solar eclipse was in the midsection. This halfway point, new moon period, missed the high by 1 quarter moon. Was one of the highest closes. So again, that's important to be right. That's a half a year, right? Solar eclipses basically break down the year into halves. Now there is some exceptions to that, but as a general rule, that's how it works. So again, when you look through these, I kind of look for that, right? Now again, since I knew that, I would have been definitely had my stops tight, or buy puts, right? Assuming that we could get some erratic behavior, especially with the void in here that we had, and we did. Now, if you're a long-term bull, you're waiting for a pullback to maybe add to your positions. If you're a fundamentalist or something on this, now I'm a technician. I'm a trader at heart. I'm not out here to. I want my whole goal in trading is to catch these long-term trends and then get the frick out. Right? I mean, I'm not a hero. I'll let somebody else have the scraps. I just want the middle. Caterpillar had a pretty good event. You know, a 10 quarter moon period up. Actually, it was 11 before it broke. Now it was a minor break and kind of dicked around uh, from the um, 90 degrees over. Again, I try to put all the Gann things on the chart without actually having to do it. I've done Gann so much in my life that I can almost look at a chart and tell you, but for some of the new people, right, this is squaring out of the range, right? I mean, this is, this is a 1 by 1 quarter moon period down each box, right? And each box up. This squared out the price, and that would have been interesting, right? A true double bottom. Now, again, Gann wouldn't have just bought that because it was double bottom. He, wanted to prove it. Now, Gann traded a 2-day trendline indicator. This is similar in a sense, right? Because it's a little longer term than a 2-day. So again, basically you're waiting to get confirmation that the lows are in or highs or whatever. Now we also squared out this range, 11 quarter moons over. It fell and broke, but minor. It didn't have any acceleration. That's a concern, right? So obviously this is a major swing now on Caterpillar. Back here, back in the beginning of the year, we kind of were on a high period. This one was also kind of a high period. So again, not a real set thing. Actually the lunar eclipse was a low here. So I would expect the lunar eclipse to be a low. I don't quite have it here, but this lunar eclipse at the edge of the chart would make sense to me, since this low was kind of made on a lunar eclipse. So I'll be watching for that for definite activity. Bank of America, you can see that we're stumbling around the solar eclipse. This dashed line is the solar, which happens to, when you square out the range by using the 1-to-1s, that's right in the middle. So pretty important, right? So the trend is still down here, and stops would be at 29.78. So we are 5 moon periods down. So from the high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stops go here. Oops, go here. So it's pretty specific. Again, if you're a bear, right, you'd be definitely maybe wanting to lock in a little minor profits. But again, potential bottom, but unknown, right? 180 degrees over from the high was another high. So that's a little negative. And then if you go from the lows, 120 degrees over was this high as well. So kind of just pop the stops, right? So a little concerning that we're either going to stay sideways, potential bottom, again, I use that word in quotes, or we're in a pause period for another leg down. Again, if you're a fundamentalist and you have a slanted opinion on the fundamentals, then, if you're a bull, right, you might be wanting to buy this as it breaks out. Also, you can see that we squared out the range, right? This is a 1-by-1 from high to this low, and it squared out right here, and that was a high. So again, there's a lot of things pointing to be a little cautious here, and if you're a long-term bull of Bank of America, you'd be definitely buying this swing. Or if you're just wildly bullish, you'd be buying these little minor pops to get you back long or add to your long position. Ford had a pretty good move back here in the summer. 7 quarter moon periods. 180 degrees over, missed the high. 90 degrees over, missed the high by 1 moon period. So a little concerning, right, that this was a top. To be honest with you, I can't remember when I last updated this. Might have been right in this. I probably did it back here. Again, we're coming into the solar, so I'm kind of going to be watching stuff a lot closer. And we are above, well, the previous solar eclipse and our last solar eclipse are right here. So the market's again, back to these areas. These lows are pretty obvious. So um, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of more neutral. The market's telling me that 45 degrees over should have been a high. Again, my theory and Gann's theory was 90 degrees is your powerhouse tops typically, right? From low to high, like from this low to this high, 90 degrees over, or again, a quarter of the year, right? Now, again, I'm doing it specifically on moons, so, it falls on a moon. Again, breaking it down, not so specific where you'd be on a daily chart or a 180-minute chart or something, right, which gets down to specifics. I'm more general. I'm kind of an option guy too, so I use these to help me. Now again, so anyway, 45 always, in my opinion, should be, if it's a high, where the beginning, the insertion point, 45 should be another high or a selling opportunity. This was a low, so that makes me kind of thinking that 90 degrees over needs to be watched as a potential high, and it could be a smashing low too, but I doubt it, right? Based on that theory. ATI, steel manufacturer. Again, these are all ag stock, kind of. Something to do with farming. Apple phones, a lot of people have those, farmers have them. So again, I added that. It's kind of a fudge one, but ATI is squaring out the range next moon period, which again comes on the 22nd, Friday, which is also close to this fall equinox. So again, another important deal. We are above the solar. We did make new highs. This break back was against these old highs, so not a real bearish market. We did break trend to the downside, so kind of important area to see it trade today. I won't waste time to look at it. Wayfair. Anyway, this one is a good trading market. I've never watched it. I added to it because I know a lot of my customers, farm customers, do, their wives and whatnot buy a lot of stuff on Wayfair, so I added it. More of a online retailer of products. So it's definitely important one. We had a 15-quarter moon period up. It did break trend. We did pop back up to make the trend higher again. So not much to report there. 180 degrees over from the low. Came in last moon period on the September 6th one, the holiday one. So unknown there, but the trend definitely got broke. So long term, 15-quarter moons up. So I would probably be more of an interested seller. I would want to get it up a little higher probably. IBM is, I always like IBM. It's a tech company that's been around the longest that I can remember. They have a lot of data if you're into cycles and whatnot. Some of these newer companies just don't have enough data to be a technician on, to be honest with you. We did have a bear trap to start out IBM for this rally. I like that. If you followed my other videos, that's kind of important to me. We're trending. We're above the 1-to-1 from that low, so I kind of like IBM. We are currently only 3 moon. We had a little break here, and it changed this trend down for 2 moon periods, 2-quarter moon periods, and that was it. No follow through. Again, if you're a long-term bull, you like to buy the breaks. The break before held 3 moon periods before it finally took it out. So this one only held 2. And then when you get real fast, you don't get these little breaks, right? And I'll show you a few examples in here that I happened to notice when I was updating this. Again, I like to manually plot stuff. I mean, I got charts, I like to look at as well, but I like to manually plot it. I get the feel for the market. I mean, I know it's not manually plotting like a chart like back in the day before computers, which I was around, but um, at least now you can, use a spreadsheet like this and do some things. There's calculations you can do that are instant and accurate. Um, but here you can see we're above both solar eclipses on EOG, which is an energy stock. Of course, crude oil has had a pretty good run as well, so kind of important. Um, we had an outside kind of period down. It didn't get low enough. Again, it has to go to kind of using a point and figure deal, right? It has to go two boxes below before I go short. That's why it's still an X. But it had a gap up, so we went and challenged the gap. Didn't quite fill it. So we're up near the highs, so you got to use a little caution there. 180 degrees over came in on this outside period, so it could be a low, could be a high. Definitely wouldn't be buying anything up here. If you didn't get long already, you definitely don't just buy it here. If you have to absolutely get in, use calls. And if you're a little concerned, don't want to get out, maybe you're collecting dividends, maybe this is a good area to buy a put, at least for a couple weeks to see if it can, it should make a new high fairly quickly here, within this moon period, right, by Friday, next Friday. PXD is another energy stock. It did break the trend, but it had a firmer close yesterday, so we kind of got matching closes here. We are above the one solar eclipse and below the other, so it's a little more impartial. 180 degrees over from that low is also this yesterday or this last week, so more neutral. Again, tough to buy it right here, 180 degrees over. AT&T, or T is a symbol. What a dud. Definitely a bear. You can see that we channeled down. We did finally break the channel, 16 quarter moons down. We're definitely below the solar. Maybe one a guy could maybe buy if you're maybe longer term. If it makes new lows, you got to get out, right? I mean, it's just an ugly duck. CME, which is the commission generated. All the quotes are coming from on the futures. Everybody pays a little bit, even if they don't know it, to the CME. Of course, they raise their quote fees, and their stock tripled in price. So, brokers that have to pay out there, commodity brokers and/or individuals, definitely give this a boost. The more traders they have, the more they go up. And of course, they also get a little lick on every trade that everybody does. So, but the trend did break here, and we had an inside period with a higher close, which was a warning sign that we're probably going a little higher. We're riding on or above the 1-to-1 trend line from the lows, so, and it's above the solar. So again, definitely a constructive market. The top is too easy. I would hate to sell that, but this one definitely makes sense. It will pop out highs, even if we just run the stops. NOG and EOG broke trend, kind of a ag medical kind of sort of stock. They do a lot of animal medical stuff. Anyway, 13 quarter moon periods up, finally broke trend. We had a pounder up here from both these lows here. We had timing that matched up right here, so it missed it by 1 quarter moon period. Close enough for government's work. We kind of squared out from the low. So let me see where this came from. Yeah, it came from the solar eclipse low. So we're coming into the next solar. So if it's another low, that'd be okay, right? That's constructive. But right now it's in a little ugly state, so I would assume it'd break back to this previous solar at 1690-ish. PPC, Pilgrim's Pride, do a lot of animal feed and whatnot. Just kind of trading above the solars now, both of them. 45 should have been a low, and it was not. So that's a little concerning to me. I'd rather seen this be a low and 90 being a big high. So since that did not happen, I'm thinking, 90 will be a low, probably back on or below these two solar eclipses. Elan, ELAN, Ag Chemical Company. We're kind of on this one by one. 90 degrees over kind of was a secondary high. 45 though was not really a low. So again, solar eclipse down here, I'm thinking will probably be support. Um, just a really nice trading market. Definitely can be patient there. ICL, which is an ag fertilizer company. We're below the solar. It went up to it several times and failed. So obviously in a weak stick, 45 was a high, not a low. So makes me thinking that 90's this period, right? So we did make a low here. So now if we do make a new high, that'll interest me, and probably seeing 120 degrees over, which is the solar eclipse, by the way, will be probably a high then. TTC, Toro, something happened there. Again, I'm not a fundamentalist. Must have had a report out or something. Holy smokes, man. Definitely gapped down, screwed everyone. Even the system here with leeway got gapped down. So, bearish sign for that market at them prices, right? So, you might see it try to get back up here somewhere into the gap. If it can even do that, it might go here, right, or here. So I don't know. Something happened there. It happens. Fundamentals turn bearish. So I don't know. That tells me if you're only a buyer only, probably stay out of that. And if you're a seller and like to sell stuff, probably stay out of it as well. So probably stay out market for a while. BG, Bunge, they do a lot of stuff for ethanol plants. We did have a pretty good run up, 6 quarter moon periods. So actually 7, 8, actually it was 8 moon periods up. Let me add that so I got it on my chart. Oop, yeah, 8. 8 moon periods up, had an outside down, which actually broke the trend, but no follow through, right? No acceleration. So again, back closed on its highs. Be interesting to see where that trades today. I gotta find out. Hang on, I wasn't gonna waste your time with this, but I want to see if it gapped higher today. Hang on, let me get it in frame here. No, it actually went lower. So, 30, we got 32% up from the lows, so about a third, right? That's a Gann thing, Fibonacci thing. And you can see the solar eclipses were here. So, also 37% was the decline. So, I'm finding that pretty interesting. Let me just see. Sorry, I'm taking up your time. Yeah, we got about a 45% off the low, so not quite halfway. Close enough, maybe, right? I'm a little concerned that might be a high. Bunge's a tough one to trade, especially when it gets choppy. So, FMC, another ag chemical company, obviously ugly stick. We're down 11 moon periods off the high back when we were halfway between the previous solar eclipse. Was kind of a high, missed it by 2 periods. And this recent one was also kind of a pause point. So again, I don't know, man. There's something ugly there going on as well. There's all kinds of logic you could throw at it. Let me see. This is the close. Yeah. I don't know. So we'll see on that one. Definitely. Well, I hate to do this. I wasn't gonna because I know it wastes your time. 45% down off the high. It's similar to that other one, actually, the other way around. So, um, you know, again, at some point, if you're short, right, you call that probably good and get out and wait for something else to happen. I'm not a big fan of just leaving stuff on and having it go back 30-40%, right? I mean, I'm a trader, so when you hear me talk, that's the reason. CNHI, the next one is an ag equipment company. It did kind of break trend. We do have a double bottom in place, kind of confirmed. If you're not quite, if you're on the fence, this is kind of the breakout area, but the solar's right here. So really, longer term, this is the swing to probably really get your juices going and confirm this double bottom. I think that's a little too easy for me. This was 180 degrees over was this high from the previous high. So I'm not a big fan of just buying that bottom. A CF Ag Fertilizer Company again, kind of got a potential, right? Use those in quotes. Bull trap. This is where the stop is on the point and figure kind of system. We've had a pretty good move off the lows, so we're kind of above both solar eclipse off the highs. So we're above the solar eclipse. So again, I'm not a real bear there, but so we'll see. Let me see. The low was made on a full moon. This low was made on a full moon. The next full moon is in a couple moon periods. So Moss, MOS, Ag Fertilizer Company. You can see we had a nice trend up. We had a nice bear market decline as well. We had 6 down, 5 up. Actually, this was the 6th one, and it kind of had an outside period, so it's a little squirrely. So 6, 7, kind of, sort of. So again, it kind of equaled, right? Decline, got about probably halfway back. And then it turned the trend down. Had a little poke up, little poke down, so we're getting kind of into that squirrely trade. We are below the 1-to-1. Solar's kind of the obvious target on just a chopper. If you're wanting to get out of longs, or maybe if you're a bear wanting to sell some. If you're doing call options, you can do quantity over quality. I think you can probably do some quantity calls, maybe out past this next solar, so past, we'll call it November 1st, whatever options there are, maybe out that far. But I think you can definitely buy some 43.50 calls or something for quantity. Now, if you're doing quality, you probably wait to confirm, right? If you're ZTS, Zoltus Pharmacy, again, does some ag medical stuff as well as human stuff. Just a big chopper. We had popped out the highs, had a bull trap. We're above the solar, above the old highs, not real bearish. We're above the 1-to-1 off the lows. So this action here is kind of a continuational pattern. I wish it was in the new highs, right up here a little bit, and then doing this, breaking back to this old high. So it's a little suspect to me. I mean, again, I think the solar is in play. FDP, that's Del Monte. Del Monte has had some pretty good trends, which is what I like to see. I don't want to see those weird ones where it gaps all over the place. I like to see a good downtrend, a good uptrend. 11 moon period, quarter moon periods down, 4 up. So obviously it did rally, but that's a mathematical thing. And then it started its decline again. So once we do make a low, I would expect, and if it's a major downtrend, I would expect another 4 quarter moon periods up. 45 was kind of a high. So I would think that this low is in jeopardy of getting taken out more than likely. CTVA, Cardiva Ag. We had a wild day here this last 3 or 4 days. Um, kind of had a outside period. So it was long, got short. If you're trading this as a system, right, you'd have got short and then back long. So, but again, that's kind of what you want to see if you're looking for a longer term bottom. You got to see some volatility, right? You got to get people spun in and out. The long term guys that are committed don't get spun. It's the shorter term guys, they get out, get back in at the high. So, but definitely be interesting to see where that goes into this next moon period. If this would have been on near the solar lunar eclipse, I'd be pretty excited about maybe participating in that. ADM, Archer, Daniel, Midland had a decline off its pretty good run, 9 quarter moons up. You can see that we hit this 1-to-1 off this previous low, so we're kind of in a channel trade. Breaking my rule again. I got to look at that chart, see how it opened today. Again, it closed on its highs, but it didn't go long, right? It needed to get up here. So now I'm going to look at the chart and see actually where it actually went lower. So you can see the solar eclipse here. So yeah, it's just a dud. Probably a bear, in my opinion. TWI. Again, another chopper, stupid trade. Went to the solar and that was it. Some weird smash, took out the stops. So when all the back actually it made new highs, not on my chart, but on the daily chart. So just a weird chopper, stay out deal. Potential maybe bottom, right? But I don't like to see that weird stuff. There's so many markets to trade. Don't get pigeonholed into trading one thing when it's acting immoral or stupid, right? I mean, just stay out of it. Go find something else. Alamo, not the car rental company. They do ag manufacturing. A big bull pop this summer. We did break trend, immediately fell back to the solar and beyond. We did rally back, had a weird outside event the last moon period. And then we did go lower, and then now we did close lower on that. So that's a little negatory for me. Let's see what it did today. I'm breaking my rules, sorry. It did gapped lower, close, and is trading lower right now. So again, that's an ugly stick. With this, again, if you do a checklist kind of deal, you're a little negative based on a lower close. If it was really bullish, it would at least close higher, right? But it didn't. So on the moon period. So I'm kind of thinking, well, okay, the opening should have gapped lower, and it did, and we're trading lower. So, but it's still a chopper. But we're below the solar. You can see that the stops are definitely going to be below there. It's a high price stock too, so. Options aren't dirt cheap, like some of them. So you're going to see some activity. I would think we're going to bust that out based on the activity we're seeing. Agco, ag manufacturing, just a chopper on the solar, up above, down below. Not much there. Deere, same thing. A high dollar stock, one of the highest. A lot of your ETFs are weighted, right? And Deere is a big chunk of that. So don't trade those ETFs that are big chunked into a certain stock. Just trade the stock. I mean, why pay for something that you could just trade outright? Anyway, yeah, a big bear, but it did break to the solar, right? So if you did sell it here, or bought puts because it broke trend, I mean, why would you not get out? Broke back. There's no reason to think it's going to go to 40 or 300 or something, right? 45 days over was a high, so that's concerning. And 90 then should have been a low, and it was. So now 120 might be a high potentially, September 29th. So we'll wait for that. Sand Ridge, they're a pretty small company, but they've been around a while, been almost bankrupt several times. Um, uh, I like though that how they trade, they're kind of lean more into natural gas. So as we approach winter, I would think the interest there is a little higher. 180 degrees off the low was a dud. So 90 degree, 45 over should have been a high. It kind of was, but then nothing happened on the 90. So again, it's just a chopper. Patience there. MRO, Marathon, another energy company, small gasoline company. We broke back here, but we didn't go low enough to set this into a downtrend. 2601 is where the stop is. I didn't change that. Sorry, 2601. So that's where it needs to go to break the point and figure trend. But again, that's near the solar. I could see it breaking back to that, maybe slightly below. Again, when it's chopping up above, you got to think like a predator and the weeds. So we're running, and it was 180 degrees off the low, which was this high. We squared it out the moon period before from the high to the low. So I'm kind of thinking I'm not going to be buying that anytime soon. Occidental, OXY, Oxy. Same kind of deal, kind of makes sense. Now we did have a kind of a bear bull trap. Again, ultimate would probably be to trip that out, so we're close. If you're a sideways guy, 180 degrees over, similar deal. 90 degrees over from this low comes in next moon period, or the one that we're currently on, right? So thinking potential high. So would be looking at exiting any longs. If you're a bear, you'd be looking at buying some puts probably, since it's kind of a potential double bottom, right? And, I don't think you'd want to sell stock outright. But buying puts makes a little sense for a bear. CVX, this will be the last one. Kind of got a trip bottom, which is highly, highly unusual. If it ever starts breaking back, we're going to take that out because of all the energy there. Similar deal to the other energy stocks. We're 180 degrees over this last moon period. 90 degrees over is our current one from the low. Again, expecting a high. I'm looking at this solar eclipse as looming. Could go a little above that, right? Maybe even take these highs out just because it can. Most people want to be bullish energy stocks. Thinking the world's coming to an end, that kind of thing. All right, I've taken up enough of your time. Let's just, for quick review, let's go back to the sheet, the main sheet. Yeah, so you got 23 of these ag stocks down, only 13 up. So a little concerning. From the longer term, we're net negative. Now on the commodity side, I also do this, and it's up a positive 26. So the stock, again, not all true ag stocks, right? But kind of cheated a little bit on a few. But it definitely is weighted a little more negative. So the crude is, again, as an example, is probably a little higher than the stocks, the crude stocks themselves, the energy stocks. So maybe a spread play there for maybe those guys that like to do spreads. Maybe sell the crude and buy the energy stocks, right? I mean, that kind of thing. All right, I don't want to get into that. I'll let you go. You have again, we're watching out for the next solar eclipse, October 14th. That's the main one. I probably won't update this at least till then. You have a great trading week.